after all this, he could find a bottom that was deeper than he had already found. And I'm to the point where I'm just fatigued by talking about him, and I know you are, and I'm sure the people up in Michigan are, but what is the solution other than Michigan fans continuing to prop him up and embrace and enable what clearly is not working out? I mean, this would be a great program at Rutgers or Maryland with this type of record. It's a good record. It's not bad. But this is the University of Michigan, and the biggest problem is that the University of Michigan fans think they're Alabama and Ohio State. They're not. They're the University of Michigan, which has won, I think, 1.5 national championships in the last 40 or 50 years.
Paul, could it be just that they're scared to do anything, which means like the last two head coaches, obviously, are Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke. This is better than that, and they're scared that they get rid of Jim, that eventually they're going back to Rich Rodriguez or Brady Hoke?
Yeah, there's always that danger because in hiring college football coaches is extremely it's an unknown being. I mean, look at Mississippi State. They hired Mike Leach. They thought they had hit a winner there, and he just got shut out over the weekend with his high-flying, high-octane offense, which about 5 weeks ago we were all talking about how great it was. So you don't know what you're going to get behind door number 1, 2, or 3, but it's okay to be average. But that's not what the University of Michigan is all about. You guys know that. We've all been there. We've all heard that. And I think they have a really difficult decision to make because Jim Harbaugh just isn't some run-of-the-mill coach. He's a legendary figure in that school's history. And when they brought him back, they paid him that kind of money because it was going to be like Urban Meyer coming back to Ohio State or what Saban did. It was one of the most significant hires in recent college football history, and it just simply hasn't worked.
It has not worked. So should Jim Harbaugh just decide to say, you know what, I'm going to go back to the NFL because when I was at UC San Diego, no one knew anything about me. I won. Or when I was at Stanford, I won enough games and made them relevant, and people thought that I was a great college coach. So now let me just go back and try my luck again in the NFL.
And that's the thing that we have to remember here. Jim Harbaugh was pretty good in the NFL. He went to a couple of Super Bowls and nearly won one. So, I mean, I don't know what – I mean, I think Jim Harbaugh just ought to take a good look in the mirror and say, I need to find an exit. Call his agent, and there'll be, 10, 12 NFL openings here in a few weeks. Grab one of them and get out of there because it's just – I hate to. I don't want to be over the top here, guys, and say that he's a terrible coach because he's not. He's not a terrible coach. He's run a decent program up there, and it's a little bit better than it was under Hoke and Rich Rod. But that's really not saying anything. That's just saying that you're better than average as opposed to being mediocre.
So, Paul, if that were to happen, if Harbaugh were to go back to the NFL, who would be a suitable replacement? Who would be somebody that can take Michigan over that hump?
Well, I can think of somebody who's not that far away that has impressed me this year and really has done one of the most phenomenal jobs in college football, and that's Luke Fickell.
Agreed.
He was wooed by Michigan State a couple of months ago and turned it down because he knew what he had at Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that that's a perfect marriage. I really don't know. I mean, Fickell's got some pretty deep ties to Columbus, Ohio. But that hasn't stopped people in the past. But that's the kind of coach that can do it the right way. There are plenty of coaches out there that I would at least give a shot at. But at some point, we've all been there, and we've all had jobs. We've all been in positions where in your guys' case on a team where you've got to find a path out, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, hey, Michigan needs to fire Jim Harbaugh today. That train has long gone. They just need to find a solution to the problem, and the solution is to help Jim Harbaugh see that this is the wrong place for him to be right now.
Paul, what did you make of Dabo Swinney's comments the other day that Trevor Lawrence won't be playing against Notre Dame this coming weekend?
That's a good question, Jay, and I'm still not sure I know what's behind that because it seemed like it changed pretty dramatically than when we were all together Friday morning. I'm guessing that somewhere in the protocol, it just seemed like it was going to be extended a little bit deeper than we originally thought, or perhaps beyond this Saturday. Dabo mentioned the heart issue, which means that Trevor has to take a test for myocarditis, but that's a 10-minute test. That shouldn't keep him out of the game unless we don't have the dates right, or maybe there's something else going on that the school and Trevor Lawrence collectively just decided it's not worth risking getting him out of that protocol with 5 minutes to spare and put him in a game at South Bend without having done anything but isolate or self-isolate for the last 10 days.
Paul, we saw Clemson take on BC this past weekend and kind of, it was a win, but it was a struggled win. What do they need to do going up against Notre Dame to get that W without the Heisman hopeful?
Well, they're in good shape at quarterback, but their defense looked terrible in the first half. And some of this could be, Keyshawn, that Clemson always has this game, and this is not an excuse. This is a fact. Remember last year at North Carolina, they needed to hold off Mac Brown's team on a 2-point conversion. 3 years ago, it was Syracuse that knocked them off. 4 years ago, they had to hold off NC State at the end of the game. They always manage to play a terrible game, and I think that's what we saw this weekend, and I'm sure the Trevor news overshadowed them. But I think they're in good shape for Saturday night, and with college football today, predicting a winner on Monday is foolhardy because you just don't know who is going to be around to play in the game. But I think they have a reasonably good chance of getting out of there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.